right, so we are going to be talking about Quantic Dream. You guys maybe know about this studio. It is the studio behind Star Wars Eclipse. Of course, now Electronic Arts does not have the exclusive rights for Star Wars games anymore. Thank you, finally. It's about time, right? Maybe one of the biggest mistakes in all of gaming history, at least Star Wars gaming, right? And so, since then, multiple studios have been given the authorization to work on Star Wars games. Obviously, Ubisoft is doing an MMORPG, and Quantic Dream here is making some kind of, I think it's also an MMORPG, or at least an adventure game. And so, it originally was a French studio based in Paris, France, and it looks like Quantic Dream is no longer a French studio because they have been acquired by Netease for a whopping 100 million euros. Netease, if you don't know, is one of the biggest Chinese tech companies. So basically, right. I know, right? So basically what it means is that in the future, when you will be buying games from Quantic Dream, you will be giving your money to the Chinese, and perhaps they'll even acquire your data as well, which maybe is not something that you want, because in China, and I know China a little because I live in Taiwan, the way it works is that if there's anything that the Chinese government is asking, they have to comply with no questions asked, right? So this is actually a piece of news coming from Insider Gaming, and so we're gonna have a look here at this article. In March 2022, 6 months prior to the official announcement, here NetEase had acquired 100% of Quantic Dream. My gosh, so that means that David Cage, the owner of Quantic Dream, actually sold his parts 100%. So nearly a year on, sources have revealed the extent of that deal. So, of course, we know that Quantic Dream is not just about Star Wars Eclipse. They also made Detroit Become Human, which is perhaps their biggest game. Heavy Rain also was made from the studio over here. And so here, $100 million is really quite a lot here. And so apparently there's a French law in 2019. The French Parliament adopted a law that meant that employees got shares in Quantic Dream, which means that it aimed at better valuing the work created by the employees. It's true, by the way, when you are in these kind of companies, the law says that you got to be rewarded also in shares. If you work for such companies, of course. Now, they say that several sources here privately disclosed that the payment they received following the full acquisition, which was between 50,000 to 100,000 euros. Wow! Based on their own percentage of what they owned of the company. It says that also David Cage, the founder and CEO, held a 51% stake in the company, along with some family members, which means that he made about 50 million euros. Well, hey, you know, when you look at this company here, Quantic Dream, which had its fair share of bad press over the past couple of months or years, based on a supposedly toxic environment, and you know, that's what they say. I'm not there to judge. I don't know anything. I'm just saying what I read. But of course, when you have this kind of bad vibe, it doesn't really, and it doesn't give the best atmosphere for making video games. I've also read that they are currently lacking about 90 staff, 90 people, 90 developers to make their game as well. So things were not doing so well for Quantic Dream and David Cage. So that's why it cannot make sense, you know, when things don't go so well and you got this Chinese company offering you 50 million euros that's gonna be in your pocket because they're buying what you own in the company. You know, you gotta think twice. You know, do I continue at the risk of losing everything, or do I cash in and take the money and then it's not my problem anymore? It's kind of understandable. What's unfortunate is that it comes from the Chinese. The other thing that I wanted to talk about here is that again, as I said, I live in Taiwan. I live in Taiwan. I know a thing or two about the local culture here, and what I hope is that despite Quantic Dream being acquired by the Chinese, what I hope is that the studio is still going to retain its full autonomy, and that the managers in China are not going to interfere into the affairs of the studio by telling them to do this or that, because the way that they understand Western culture is not always in equation with how it really is. And so that's why very often you got some Chinese companies trying to sell products to Western markets or trying to adapt to Western markets, and very often it just fails. And you have a few success stories, of course, but overall, very often it just results in failure. And I just hope that they're just going to let the studio do what they do best, and they're just cashing on the money from their shares, and they just take the profit, and that's basically going to be it. But anyway, guys, that's the news that that I had to share here regarding Quantic Dreams, and also, well, Star Wars Eclipse now being in the hands of the Chinese. Guys, I've been the Eradicator, and I will see you guys later.